if the Pats cut NKeal Harry, the Niners will be all over him. Should the 49ers be all over NKeal Harry?
Isn't what Juwan Jennings did a little down the stretch last year what people thought NKeal Harry was going to do immediately in the NFL? Like break tackles and make some big first downs?
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes. NKeal Harry has 57 catches in 3 years. He has total. 57 catches total in 33 games. Juwan Jennings last year had 24 catches. Juwan Jennings last year had twice as many catches as NKeal Harry had last year. NKeal Harry has 4 touchdowns in 3 years. Juwan Jennings had 5 last year. Juwan Jennings played 16 games last year. NKeal Harry has missed 16 games in 3 years and had 1 requested trade denied. So I don't really get it. Other than the one thing I would say that,
but NKeal is behind Randy Moss and Wes Welker in New England,
that's,
right?
Good point. Wait, no, he's not. He was a first-round receiver who got every opportunity to separate himself. He's 25 years old. Rookie option, obviously not picked up. He's like $1.8 million if it were a trade. If you were to trade a 6th or 7th rounder for him,
you don't think they're going to pick up the 5th-year option?
No, I don't think the $12 million got picked up. Honestly, I would not trade a 6th rounder for NKeal Harry. If he got cut, okay, we'd be interested, maybe some depth. The one thing I'd say, right, was NKeal was, I thought what he would be coming out was a little more of a gadget guy, like some end arounds and that kind of thing. Like,
do you remember the play he had at Arizona State? It was a quick screen, and he cut it back across the field and took it to the house.
First of all, he went backwards. Then he cut it back across the screen, I think. I think it was Utah State, maybe.
Oh, is that who it was?
Might have been. Let's check the tape on that.
So, not exactly, the 85 Bears playing defense, but he definitely, disappointing is very fair to call him. Like, he was a much better, like J.J. Ortega-Whiteside, who I just keep is the punching bag kind of, was not anywhere nearly as good as a collegiate player as NKeal Harry, would you say?
Yeah.
Just in terms of impact and just difference maker with the ball in his hands. He's been extremely disappointing. One, I follow a lot of Patriot people on Twitter, so a lot of times when their games are going, he drops a lot of balls. One thing he did resurrect his career last year a little bit is a run blocker, and they used him a lot. Like, he did play a lot. They just used him to block linebackers, which he can do because he is a big motherfucker, which Kyle does value. But I'm with you. Like, you're going to pay $1.5 million for a backup. Ultimately, and this is what happens in the NFL, which why it truly is a meritocracy, is that Juwan Jennings, coming out of college, right? When both of them were coming out of college, if I told every general manager, every offensive coordinator, when they're in the draft, you can take NKeal Harry coming out of college, Juwan Jennings coming out of college. Every single person's taking NKeal Harry. Yet a couple years later, the 49ers more than likely, they wouldn't trade Juwan Jennings straight up for NKeal. Things change.
No, not more than likely. They wouldn't do it.
They would not do it. And if you just said, called up 10 general managers, you can have Juwan Jennings or NKeal Harry, I think every single one of them would take Juwan Jennings. And honestly, you could probably play this game with a lot of receivers around the league that kind of are Juwan Jennings' role, right? Like whoever the third wide receiver is on productive teams. And it just shows you, things change fast. And maybe it's as simple as West Coast guy, bad fit in New England, not an easy place to play. You would say Herm's operation, well, he's an NFL coach, a little more loosey-goosey than New England. It's just sometimes people forget, and I'm not comparing NKeal Harry to Marshawn Lynch, but I've been watching college football long enough. NKeal Harry was a legitimate prospect. Now, should he probably have gone in the middle of the second round instead of whatever? But he was a legitimate top 50 prospect. And like Marshawn, who went to Buffalo, hated it. Didn't like it, wanted out, it was a weird situation, went to Seattle, changed his whole life. So sometimes the change of scenery with a younger guy who's just in a shitty spot. Now, I would say it's this guy hasn't just played 1 year. He's played 3 years, right? One was with Brady. Remember, Tom didn't like him. Now, I'm not saying the person, but just was this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And last year was pretty telling. He caught how many balls you say?
12.
It's pretty terrible.
I mean, Josh McDaniels is a top 5 NFL offensive coordinator.
And they had a serviceable short and intermediate passing game, right?
Should fit him.
Yeah.
He should be a good match for Mac Jones. By the way, Marshawn was a 1,000-yard rusher each of his first 2 years in the league. Right.
Yeah, that's what the comp isn't perfect at all.
Marshawn was a 1,000-yard rusher and had 47 catches his second year in the NFL.
Yeah. Bad job by me.
But your point is, you're just making a change of scenery.
Just awakens a guy.
No, it's
let's even use like Arden Key, right? He got to the Niners, boom, resurrects his career, then he gets a contract. Like Arden Key was headed out of the league, and now it feels like when you say Arden Key's got at minimum 4 more years just bouncing around, worst case.
Yeah. But there is a difference sometimes between being a pass rusher and being a receiver. Like a lot is required of you as a receiver. And I remember talking to somebody at ASU who, I think part of this is like when I saw this come up the other day, the first thing I thought of was John Lynch and Herm Edwards know each other really well, which worked in Brandon Ayuk's favor. From what I've heard, that does not work in NKeal Harry's favor. There are people around Arizona State that when he got drafted by the Patriots thought that was a bad fit because of, what's required of you as an offensive player and a receiver to play for the Patriots. And, I tend to think that that good fits in New England would be good fits in San Francisco, and bad fits would be bad fits because a lot's required of you to play for Kyle offensively.
Look at Ayuk last year, how, they were butting heads a little bit on effort and stuff. Then most of us thought like, Jesus, this is kind of crazy.
But clearly they ask Ayuk to do a lot, right? And he does it. He does it pretty well, I'd say.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a fit. But again, what are we talking about here? A free agent flyer in camp? Fine. They had what's his name? Big guy that the Bears drafted, Kevin White, on the roster last year. So,
but again, zero money. Like to me, I would expect 1.5 is not nothing. Maybe gets traded for a 7th round pick. I think that's his value. If he's
by the way, I wouldn't trade a 7th or 6th round pick for him. Like I said, Juwan Jennings was a 7th round pick. So no, I'm not. You just showed me you can use those picks.
To me, if he gets traded, I'd be shocked if he goes to the Niners. But there are enough teams that just, like if you're the Colts or just some of these teams that like you just need some more reinforcement. Like wide receiver is not an issue for the 49ers, right? It's just right now it's a position of strength.
Well, I know Jacob Juwan. I know Ray McLeod is going to play special teams, right?
Yeah.
Which was also something. Remember, that was the other thing. This guy was a punt returner in college.
I could see them drafting to like a speed guy. In like the 5th, 6th round.
Yeah, or maybe the 7th. It's like, again, it kind of seems like a thing they do well now, right?
Yeah.
So this is not an option.